So you like to watch?
I've seen how he looks at me during Mass.
Omen tomb.
Come on. I'm an easy girl. There's no need for foreplay.
Maniat. In terror!
The movie takes off amidst a stormy weather with heavy rainfall. An incoming vehicle is spotted and the driver is seen muttering some prayers. When he comes to a stop, he runs into a church looking for Father Peter, whom he stumbles upon. The man states that they can't wait any longer. The priest joins him in the car and off they go, arriving at another residence where a man runs out and hugs Father Peter with tears in his eyes. He is taken into a room where a possessed lady is seen on the bed, strapped to its edges to prevent further destruction. Her name is Magali, and she is completely possessed by Satan. Magali screams out demonically, revealing a set of faces on the wall of the room. Father Peter, knowing he can't do this alone, calls Father Michael, saying there's no time. Michael, who is in London, says he will be there in 2 days. Peter says if nothing is done now, Magali could die. Michael discourages Peter from performing the exorcism alone, saying that if the devil finds a single crack of sin in him, he will use it against him. He forbids Father Peter from delivering Magali, but he drops the phone and walks back in, determined to heal the possessed lady. Peter tells Magali's family that he must do this alone. He enters the room alone, then Magali asks for his help as the demon in her begins to lure him to come closer, saying the three of them fit in the bed. Father Peter takes out his cross and begins to utter Latin words of prayer. Magali breaks free from the bed as the prayer intensifies. The devil begins to use her body parts to appeal to the sexual desires of the priest, asking him to commit sin and forget about the exorcism. He tries to control himself despite an innate and burning desire to give in to the temptation. The possessed woman begins to touch herself inappropriately, and while Father Peter showers prayers upon her, she orgasms right in front of him and falls asleep. When he goes closer to examine her, she grabs his hand and forces him to touch her. For a moment, Magali seems healed and kisses Father Peter, whose spiritual stronghold has been crippled by the devil inside her. He yields to the temptation and commits an abomination. Then shortly after, Father Peter is possessed by the devil and Magali is healed. 18 years later, Father Peter resides in a small town in Mexico where he helps the villagers in doing charity works. One day, after sharing food to the villagers, a woman calls out to him. She seems perturbed and quickly takes the priest to a room where a young boy is seen lying sick on the bed with strange set of marks on his face. His condition is very critical, so he is rushed to a nearby hospital where Sister Magali is spotted nursing other children with similar illness. It turns out Father Peter is hallucinating, as it's not Sister Magali, but another sister. She comes over and checks the boy, then the lights go off and the doctors and nurses run out of the hospital, leaving the sick children. One day after Mass, he stands in front of the altar, pondering over his guilt, when Dr. Nelson approaches, informing Peter that they have lost 4 kids this week. He sees it as a punishment, so he tells Dr. Nelson about his iniquity, saying God hasn't forgiven him, and that he has not found peace since then. Peter wants to confess to the bishop but is discouraged by Nelson, who points out that he may be excommunicated and made to stay away from the community of people who genuinely love him. Father Peter ignores Dr. Nelson's advice and travels to Mexico City, heading to the church where Father Balducci, a senior priest, acknowledges Peter to be a saint. Father Peter attempts to confess his darkest secrets, but Balducci defends him for his numerous charities, saying people still talk about his miracle 18 years ago. Balducci says that God is with Peter, and in respect of his great works, the church has given him a huge sum of money to further enhance his charity works. Father Peter quickly hides the videotape of his sin. The following day, he buys medicine for the sick at the hospital. While praying, he remembers his act of sin with Magali and how the devil possessed him. Suddenly, he hears a loud growl coming from the church, and when he steps out to check it out, he sees a lot of blood on the ground. On a closer look, Peter sees what appears to be a possessed Jesus, crying at the edge of the church wall. When he touches it, a spiritual attack occurs instantly. Scared to death, Father Peter grabs a candle stand, prepared to smash any subsequent evil, but is attacked yet again. It's just a dream. He gets a call from the warden at a female prison who informs him that they have a case with an inmate who is spiritually sick. This particular inmate has personally requested for Father Peter. He arrives at the prison and makes his way to the warden, who introduces the inmate as Esperanza. They report that she killed a guard in the prison a few days ago. Dr. Nelson is also present, and together they go to Esperanza's cell. She is seen muttering some words when Peter says hello. She says, the Easter will bring a miracle, resurrection. Esperanza also says that there are 5 demons inside of her, and it feels like a punishment. She claims that she and Peter know each other very well. The demon inside her causes her to bleed, stating its sexual desire to have Peter, replicating the exact scenario 18 years ago. It unleashes a loud snare that almost gets them deaf. At a round-table meeting of the warden, Peter and Nelson, the warden urges Father Peter to conduct an exorcism like he did years ago. From behind comes Magali, who says, "Do it for me." Father Peter is shocked to see her. After the meeting, Magali tells him that Esperanza asked for him to come even when she didn't know he existed. It appears that Esperanza is the product of the spiritual iniquity from 18 years ago. Peter insists that it wasn't him. He claims to have been possessed. Magali gives him a picture of Esperanza. She urges Peter to save her. He visits the hospital again, where Dr. Nelson informs him that 5 children have died again with no sign of affected organs. Peter requests to be assisted by Father Michael, the priest from London who forbade him from performing exorcism on Magali. They are happy to see each other. Peter immediately confesses that Balbin left Magali but then possessed him, after which he left. Michael states that Balbin wouldn't have left without taking Peter's soul. He encourages Peter to have faith. With this, Peter burns the videotape of his iniquity and has a flashback of how he committed sin with the possessed Magali, after which Balbin possessed him. When her family came in and saw her healed, they took Peter for a saint, not knowing what happened. A sister praying in the orphanage suddenly sees blood on her face, after which a statue of Mary begins to haunt her. At this time, the children are all asleep when the door opens up, and a young boy goes to close it. A strong knock is heard on the door, enough to wake the children up. On hearing their screams, both priests rush to check on them, only to find the sister completely possessed by Satan and about to kill Magali, who first attacked her. Michael casts the demon inside of her in the name of Jesus, then Peter grabs her while Michael uses his cross to expel the demon back to hell. It was a close one, and everyone is terrified. This forces both priests to go for the exorcism, though not fully prepared. They enter Esperanza's cell once more, and she is in tears, saying that her friends are sick and it's Peter's fault. The devil takes over, threatening that he will kill more of the children and take their souls. Michael challenges the devil to prove that it's from hell, but it can't. So he makes a mockery of its presence in Esperanza and turns to leave, but the door closes. She then pukes on Michael, a liquid containing the fingers of the guard from earlier. Michael proceeds to underrate her, then she threatens to rape him down there. A spiritual atmosphere emerges, despite the joint exorcism. Esperanza's demon possesses all the females in the prison at the same time. The prayer takes a little effect, after which she attacks and bites off Michael's ear, proving too strong to be knocked off Michael. Dr. Nelson stabs her with a shot of anesthesia, then she falls asleep. Michael is treated, and they request all inmates to be evacuated out of the prison. The guards refuse to honor their request, saying it's too dangerous to do so. Dr. Nelson goes in to inject the remaining females so they can sleep all through the exorcism while both priests prepare for a spiritual battle. Michael reveals to Peter that the old methods of exorcism do not work anymore, and that the church has not updated it. He reveals that the only way to achieve victory is to make a pact with the devil in exchange for healing the possessed. The priests arrive the facility again, ready to cast out the devil. Dr. Nelson, who is already inside, discovers that all the prison cells have been opened up. He sees an inmate crying and takes off his injection to issue a shot, but is brutally attacked. The priests observe that the inmates are no longer in their cells. They see Nelson creeping out of a cell and they rush to grab him. Nelson manages to tell Peter to run. The inmates have been possessed as Michael fights back with prayers. They are tasked with defeating the inmates before Esperanza, who possesses a statue and burns down Michael's cross. A possessed inmate attacks Peter, but Nelson rescues him and ends up getting stabbed multiple times. Father Michael is attacked vehemently, but he fights back, defending himself with a knife, after which they escape the hallway of the prison. The possessed inmates chase after them until the priests lock themselves in a different room which seems like a kitchen. Michael blames Peter for performing the exorcism 18 years ago, saying he was not free from sin, and now he has messed up everything. Michael reveals that he sold his soul to Balbin to enable him perform exorcism years ago. He says that when he dies, he will surely burn in hell because of this. Michael falls down due to multiple stab wounds, then advises Peter not to make a deal with Balbin no matter how bad the exorcism goes. Michael dies and the inmates break in, then Peter runs off, locking them out. He begins to make a video explaining how he broke his vows and Balbin took advantage of him and sexually abused Magali 18 years ago. Peter charges at the inmates, expelling the devil when the possessed Jesus pulls in a cross into the hallway. It proceeds to attack, but he subdues it with more prayers only to get knocked out by an inmate. When he wakes up, he is chained to a chair in front of Esperanza and her agents. She begins to perform exorcism on him to chase the spirit of God out of Peter. Esperanza tortures him with demonic incantations, asking God to leave his body, while at the same time the children at the orphanage begin to convulse in their sleep. Same statue attacks the sister again, and this time Peter unleashes a powerful prayer that shatters the glass behind him, tearing the faces of the demon. An intense battle of exorcism continues between Peter and Esperanza. He commands Balbin to leave his daughter, but it grabs him, asking to be let into his body. Balbin tries to strangle Peter, then he blesses a water close by, which instantly burns Balbin, who falls down crying in pain. Balbin promises to leave Esperanza only if he takes the children with him, forcing Peter to save either his daughter or the children at the orphanage. Peter painfully asks Balbin what he wants, and it says he wants Peter to make God leave his body so he can enter. If he does this, all the children will be saved, including his daughter. Peter makes the deal, and immediately Balbin departs Esperanza, and all the children are saved. He takes Esperanza outside to her crying mother, who doesn't know what Peter did to save her daughter. He is later seen delivering a powerful sermon in church, after which the congregation arises to applaud his brilliance. The news goes all over the world that a single priest cured over 110 children, but no one knows the truth. Peter approaches Balducci, who admits to deleting the confession in the video. He tells him that his works have paid off and a job is waiting for him at the Vatican. Esperanza grabs Peter's hand and he pulls his hand away. She hugs and thanks him for healing her. It so happens that only Balducci knows that Peter is possessed by Balbin. The movie ends with Father Peter arriving at the Vatican for his new job. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated for more contents like this. Thanks for watching.